I am Rock Lee, and you're listening to the Zane Man.
Oh, yes, Danhausen here, Danhausen. Listen to the Zan Man, or be cursed.
Tonight, I am Batman, and you're listening to the Zan Man.
Well, Mr. Zandman.
Say hello, everybody.
Hello, buddy.
You are listening to episode 6.
Yeah.
Episode 6
6.
of the Zandom Thoughts.
And
Say Zandom Thoughts.
he Fox.
And this is Valerie, my daughter. Say,
Sorry, Dad.
you don't have to repeat after me anymore. We got the introductions out of the way. And this one's going to be an interesting episode because it's hot takes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheaters.
Yeah. It's Ninja Turtles over there. Don't get distracted. We have to tell the people what they're about to listen to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're about to listen to an episode full of hot takes. And I've already said that a couple of times now. I've got some that are submitted, just a couple. And then I went on Reddit and listened to a bunch of hot takes, and I'm going to give my opinions on them. I'm going to give some hot takes of my own, and I've been waiting for an episode like this, haven't we? We've been waiting for an episode like this. Say it, Valerie. Stop messing with the headphones. We've been waiting for an episode like this, because I've been waiting to get some of that zest out. Can you say zest? Zest! And we are going...
Cheaters.
Ninja Turtles. There's no hot takes over Ninja Turtles. You're a absolute savage, Valerie. You're a savage.
Yeah,
But no, like I said, we're going to do a hot takes episode where we go to Reddit, where we go online, where we read some hot takes and really just give our opinions on them. And it's a chance to let our hair down, which doesn't exist. I'm bald. And get zesty. I don't know what it is about me lately, but I've been just wanting to have an episode where I'm like... I don't even know what. It started off as a dog bark and then ended up as a horse noise. I'm all over the place, but it is going to be an extremely fun episode, hopefully, that you guys can appreciate, that I can have fun with, and that, isn't just me complaining, but hopefully making some good points. I do that occasionally. But this really is going to be an episode that just speaks for itself. So, all right, the people are going to listen to the episode now. Can you say bye, Val?
Bye, Val.
Say, it's just, you don't have to say bye, Val. You're very smart. Just say bye.
Bye.
All right, into the episode.
So you come to me on this, the day of my daughter's wedding, to get these hot takes. On the day of my daughter's wedding.
Yeah, right. It's not my daughter's wedding. She's 2 and she can't get married until she's 41. Not really. Hopefully she finds a good man and then we will discuss age at a later date. That's the hottest take of them all. Like, she's not your property. You can't tell her what to do. Like, heck, I can't. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is the hot take episode, as you've heard 852 times at this point already. First, let's establish what a hot take is, because I don't think everybody who listens to this podcast necessarily knows. Another phrase to describe what a hot take is would be unpopular opinion. It's a take, which is like an opinion, something you say that isn't widely accepted. And it's like, whoa, that's a hot take. That's a zesty one, zinger, that sort of thing. So if someone were to come in the room and you're like, hey, what's your hottest take? And they're like, I think racism sucks. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's not really a hot take. Because in theory, most people are going to say, yeah, it does suck. A hot take would be something along the lines of, what I really love? Racism. We at Zandom Thoughts do not approve of racism, but we were just emphasizing a point, dang it. And I've seen the arguments. It took let me emphasize that. It took way too long scrolling on Reddit, scrolling on message boards to find takes that were actually hot, because 90% of the takes out there are, you know what? I don't really like pedophiles. It's like, of course, no one likes pedophiles. The hot take would be like, hey, you know, the Bible says we're supposed to love everybody with an unconditional love that's similar to God's. We'll fall short, but we're supposed to strive for that. That means we're supposed to love pedophiles. We're supposed to love rapists, not condone what they do, but we are supposed to show them that love. That's a hot take right there. And in fact, like 90% of the Bible nowadays is a hot take because we here in America and we here in the modern age do not like the Bible, apparently. So we're going to stray away from that. But the reason why I brought that up is because a lot of people will justify that these takes are hot takes because people's actions say other than what they're saying. So when someone says, I don't like racism, their actions actually show that they're racist, that sort of thing. We're not going to take that into consideration. The majority of the public eye would be against racism here in 2025, that sort of thing. So when we were looking for hot takes, one, we were looking for some silly ones. Two, we were looking for a couple of serious ones, but we're looking for one where the person, you know, if everybody was standing on a side of a fence, these hot takes would certainly have less people on their side of the fence, significantly fewer, if that makes sense. I'm doing a terrible job at painting the picture, but I can't emphasize enough. Hot takes are going to be an unpopular opinion. And Reddit was very hard to find through. I think I searched through 20 different ones, and these were the results. So hopefully we can all enjoy. And the first one I'm going to stumble across is... My hot take is that if you make a hot takes thread, you should start off with a hot take of your own. My goodness, he's right. So I will not be starting off this hot takes podcast, whatever you want to call it. It is a podcast, but I was about to say thread. That was my diversion. I will start off with my very own hot takes, and I'm not going to list every hot take I have because we'd probably be here for a while, and that would be a podcast in its own right. But I did think of some specifically to add into this episode, so we'll dive into those. So we'll start off tame, and the first one is, my hot take is that when it comes to getting your own fountain drink at a gas station or even at a fast food restaurant, the superior way of drinking your fountain soda is without ice. Putting ice in a fountain soda just ruins it. Because one, I'm going to drink the soda very quickly. And so I know this is it's based on your situation, though. You're a big fat guy that can down soda really quick, but lots of us like to enjoy our soda. It takes us an hour and 50 minutes to drink an entire soda. And so we want it to remain cool for the duration of that hour 50. Yeah, but by the end of that hour 50, it's going to be watered down, so you're not going to drink half of it anyway. You're ruining it. And if you take an hour 50 to drink that soda, then maybe just get a bottle and keep it in the refrigerator. A fountain soda itself, it comes out of the fountain cold. And if you're going to drink it, you're surely not going to take an hour and 50 minutes to drink it, hopefully. Otherwise, that's just a waste of your money. Plus, here's a little bit of fat guy knowledge. If there's less ice in the cup, there will be more drink to drink. And so for those few reasons right there, especially with some gas stations having the styrofoam option, there's really no reason to have ice in your cup, in my humble opinion. And based on what I've seen, I am a savage for what I'm saying right now. It is definitely an unpopular opinion, but it's not as unpopular as some of these other things I'm going to be saying, especially whenever they pertain to a certain group of people, in particular cinephiles, people who absolutely love movies. I'll start off by saying I am not one of those people who I'm like, oh, you could tell that this film was shot on a 4.4 camera because of the way when it tilts, the high definition really pops on my flat screen. I don't care about that. I just care if I have a good time watching the movie. Is there humor? Is there a good story? Do I enjoy the characters? If all of those are yes, then it was a good movie. I don't need to be lectured to on some social issue for it to be a top 10 movie of all time, in my opinion. And so when I say that, I'm painting the background for this next one. I pulled up a list, and it is the critics' top 100 films. They took a poll of all of the top 100 films, and the fact that there is not a movie on here past 1968 in the top 10 is bullcrap. Half of these movies I've never even heard of. There's no way they could be the greatest movies of all time. And my hot take might not be as hot of a take as I'm thinking, but like I said, for specific groups of people who are passionate about watching movies and like ranking them online, if you go to YouTube and watch any basic film theory, there's a little bit of film snob talk in each and every one of their reviews. I've never seen one who isn't like, oh, and they lost me there. Not because they, ranked the movie wrong, but they start talking about like the details of the movie and the graphics and all that stuff. Like, I don't care about all that. But I say all of that to say that the hot take is that when deciding how great a movie is, when deciding the top 100 movies of all time, you got to take it from the critics, you got to take it from the audience, and then take it from somewhere else. I don't know where that third party is, so instantly people are going to be like, you didn't bring the solution with you, so it's wrong. But I feel like it shouldn't just be up to the film critics, especially since all of the movies that are like winning awards and stuff are all like the artsy fartsy movies. If you just see one that's like, this is a commentary on why you shouldn't fart in public because it's increasing the chances of global warming. Like, I don't freaking care about that. It's a boring movie. You should have chose a different topic to teach me about because I'm bored. Like, I'm looking at all these, and in the top 100, it's Vertigo, Citizen Kane. Both are 100s on Metacritic. Citizen Kane's all right. It's boring in comparison to like, and I can see the argument. Everybody's like, if it was left up to that criteria, the top 10, the top 20 would just be Fast and the Furious and Marvel movies. And what's so wrong about that? What's so wrong about good, entertaining movies being celebrated? I would take Space Jam over any of these movies in the top 10. Any of them. Vertigo, Citizen Kane, Tokyo Story, The Rules of the Game, Sunrise, 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Searchers, Man with a Movie Camera, Passion of Joan Arc, 8.5. Never even heard of that one. Space Jam's a better movie than all of them. It's not about the acting. Yeah, Michael Jordan wasn't impressive as an actor. Oh, who cares? It was entertaining, and it had a better plot than half of these things. Aliens stole the talent from the NBA players. And then I'm just looking down those top 100, and I'm not seeing The Dark Knight at all. The Godfather's the first movie I feel like belongs in the top 25. And they just keep going with all these artsy-fartsy movies, dude. Like, I definitely feel like old souls made this because, like, Blade Runner, there we go, at 69, it dropped that far down the list. Half of these movies suck. I feel like there should be entertainment factor included in what makes a good movie, because that does matter. Like, you can't tell me it doesn't. Oh, the way that they shot this shows that she's secretly passionate about dancing, even though she's currently a waitress. I don't care about that. The movie sucked. And I'm just saying the same point over and over at this point. But you know what I'm saying. I'm still scrolling. And Casablanca is at 85. And I haven't seen a movie like past the 2000s on this list yet. Casablanca doesn't hold a candle to 90% of the movies out here today. Like, oh, that just shows me you're not credible to watch this. I enjoy the movies I watch. You have to say, oh, sorry. I can't make that argument anymore. 96 is yee. It was made in the year 2000. But you see my point. This list sucks. Most people out there should agree with me. I feel like that's not as hot of a take as I'm making it, but it's specifically a hot take when reviewing movies because I like to rank things and review things, but I'm not the most qualified, quote unquote, person to do it. And I guarantee you my list would be a lot more fun than these idiots. Anyway, that's my hot take. I'm going to shut up before I get myself in trouble. Or we're just going to begin getting ourselves in trouble because I think that acquired tastes for anything is stupid. First off, alcohol is pointless. There's really no productive reason to drink it. It tastes disgusting. Literally, the first time you drink it, it tastes like you're drinking your own urine, which your urine might actually taste better depending on who you are. You just drank Gatorade, huh? No. I'm getting weird with it. But no, it's an acquired taste. It's disgusting and everything. Sure. We don't have to limit it there, though. Acquired tastes are a waste of time. Just go eat something that already tastes good. Like, on that same this is gonna be mean. Someone one time like started making their own chocolate, and they're like, "Man, I'm excited because I went back to my roots. I'm no longer eating the fake stuff, the artificial sweetened chocolate like Hershey's. I started making my own chocolate. You want to taste it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. That sounds great." I bit into it. Literally tastes like a crayon, which I just realized is gonna reveal to people. You've been eating crayons? Who hasn't? No, we all know what a crayon tastes like, or a candle, or any form of wax. It didn't have any flavoring is the point. It's like you're essentially eating a crayon. Crayons aren't good for you, so how can this be better than eating a Hershey's bar? Sugar is a part of the needed food groups. So, not a ton of it, but it's there. Cheat days exist. I don't know. But my point is saying acquired tastes can also translate over to TV shows, because as someone who watches a couple of shows, I don't think it's a good argument to suggest to someone that a show is good if you have to, quote unquote, just get through the first 2 or 3 seasons and then it gets good. Believe me, I'm somebody who does that. I love the show Naruto, and I understand that the first 2 seasons aren't for everybody. In fact, the first 2 seasons, mainly the Zabuza saga, kind of paint a picture of what Naruto, you can really expect it from. It's slow paced. It has cool characters. It does way too many flashbacks, but it's entertaining in its own right. I even said this to my wife, and she straight up was like, "Yeah, because of the flashbacks, I'd probably never watch it again," which kind of broke my heart, hon. If you're listening to this, it kind of broke my heart. But like whenever people ask me if they should watch Naruto, I'd be like, yeah, but really like get to the Chunin exams. And if you enjoy the Chunin exams, then you'll enjoy it. That is not a good argument for a TV show. I'm not a big fan of The Office, and I watched the first season. "Oh, no, you have to get to at least the second season, because that's where it really gets good." Watch the second season. Still bored. "Oh, no, you have to watch to the third season. That's where it really gets good." Watch the first 3 episodes of season 3. Knew people were pulling my leg. Like, Office isn't a terrible show. It's not the biggest waste of time out there. I can watch one and give a couple of nose breath laughs and even a giggle or two. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be that person that's like, because I don't like it, there's zero value. It's just not one of those shows I'm going to sit down and watch myself and convince everybody that it's the greatest show of all time. There are people out here that dedicate their entire personality to The Office. I don't think it's that great. I don't care if I got to the second season. I don't care if I get through the third season. The fourth season's the greatest piece of cinema of all time. I've seen the top 100 cinema list. I know what you guys are about. But to me, I just am stressing that that's not a good argument. And even if people agree with me, everyone seems to do it for one of the shows they watch. And that's why I think it's a hot take. The third one might break my daughter's heart because she actually really loves these. But to me, the artificial flavoring for strawberries is amazing. It's one of the best flavors out there. If you eat something and it's strawberry, it's typically going to be good. Especially strawberry ice cream. I love strawberry milk. I am not a fan of the actual fruit of strawberries, and I don't think the artificial flavoring tastes anything like it. In fact, I kind of hate strawberries. I don't know what it is about it. And then on top of it, there are a lot of fruits out there. Like, I loved cantaloupe, but I can't eat it anymore because as I grew older, I don't know exactly what it is to it, but there's some protein in certain fruits that when they're growing, they don't get rid of. A lot of the fruits get rid of these particular proteins while they're growing on the trees and stuff like that. Or the vine, sorry.
Strawberries don't grow on tree.
I'm in a weird mood. I'm sorry. But essentially, a protein And a lot of these different fruits, and I'm including, like, it's in bananas, it's in cantaloupe, it is in strawberries. It doesn't happen all the time, but there's sometimes where I can eat these fruits and my throat just becomes all itchy and doesn't close up or anything, but it gets to the point where my throat's so itchy that I'm like, help me. So I'm allergic to that particular protein, and so I have to typically stay away from those things, from fruits like strawberries that I'm not a big fan of, all the way to fruits like cantaloupe that are amongst my favorites. But yeah, that was my whole point, is artificial flavoring strawberry is amazing. The strawberry fruit isn't that great, which, based on what I've seen, strawberries are one of the more popular fruits. And I guess it really depends on what area you're in, but that's my point. My next hot take, and it is a hot take because everyone seems to use these stupid phrases nowadays that become popular on the internet. But the word cringe has kind of gotten out of hand. Like, everybody does it. And it's not whenever somebody uses it properly. Like, oh, Joe Biden came up behind me and sniffed my earlobe. The feeling and the tickle of my earlobe made me cringe. That's fine. But like, ever since YouTube commentary channels like kind of became a thing and grew and exploded onto the scene, particularly a YouTube channel by the name of Leafy is Here. I don't think it exists anymore. He'd be like, the way he chewed his food was so cringe. And that's how everybody uses it nowadays. They just emphasize the word cringe. And it's not just limited to that. That wouldn't make me, irk or anything if it was just that. It's also people use it like it's an emoji, but in like real life settings. Like, I'll come in there and I'll be like, hey, what's up, diggity dogs? And turn my hat to the side and try and act funny. And somebody doesn't find it funny, so they'll go, ugh, cringe. It's like, first off, I hate you for doing that. Secondly, let's let that word die a bit. At least this new way it's being used. And I guess it's not really a new way, because I felt the same way when everybody was saying bet. Hey man, bet. Like, oh, are we gambling? Nah, it means like, yeah. But I don't know. The internet makes some words like unbearable. And to me, it really makes me cringe. That one's just a weird one. I understand. I feel like it is a hot take, though. I feel like it. The final hot take I've already ran by my wife, and she disagrees with me. So I definitely feel like it's a hot take. But let me paint the picture for you. You're driving down a highway. Everybody seems to universally know that the left lane is the passing lane. So the middle lane is clogged up with people going 50. The right lane has people going 45, just for this picture. The left lane, everybody's getting over into it to pass all these slow people. So I shoot over into the left lane, and the speed limit is 65. I am going 75. The person behind me decides they're going to get really close to my car because I'm not going as fast as they would like me to go. They break the street etiquette, which is in your permit handbook, of staying 2 car lengths away, and get really close to my bumper because they are not a fan of how I'm driving. The expectation on their part is for me to stop going 10 miles over the speed limit, jump over behind this guy going 50, get clogged up in all that noise, and not be able to get back into the passing lane because I'm not going as fast as you would like me to go. That's bull. That is bull crap, man. Riding my butt because I'm going 10 over the speed limit and you want to go 95, I want to hit triple digits, is not a good move at all. For one, 65 is the speed limit. I'm already breaking the law for you. I'm breaking the law for you. I would go 65 if it was up to me, but I understand that that's how the etiquette works. That's how the etiquette works. But you're wanting me to go faster? You're riding my bumper? You're putting both of us in danger if like a deer were to magically jump out over 2 lanes of highway and I have to slam on my brakes, and now you're in my back seat because I'm not going that much more over the speed limit than you would like. You know what? I could be going 65 and you should still not ride my butt. You should still not ride my butt. You should still respect the 2-car. Obviously, no one's going to respect the 2-car, especially in high traffic, but you should still not be right on top of me. For one, that's a dangerous situation. For two, most of us, whenever we're stuck behind a slow driver, get into that road rage territory, and you're already seeing red. And so all it takes is one little mistake, and you're in their back seat. And you're not going to be able to react to it the way you're wanting to because you're already seeing red. You're already in that agitated state. So, I don't know. It is a hot take because most people would agree with me. No, I don't like when people ride my butt. But, like, the moment you're in the reverse situation, you're like, oh, this slow idiot in front of me, even though they're breaking the speed limit already for you. The speed limit is law. And all of my friends back in Missouri are going to hate me for this take, and I understand that. But technically, you could be going 1 mile over the speed limit, and they could still pull you over because you're breaking the law. That's real. That is a real thing. I've been pulled over for going 2 over the speed limit. They were probably looking for, like, drug addicts and stuff because I was driving at, like, midnight. But still, they pulled me over because I was going 2 over the speed limit. And they're allowed to do that. Most police officers aren't going to pull you over. And if there's police officers that listen to this podcast, you could confirm this for me maybe in the comments. But like, most police officers will excuse 5 miles over the speed limit. Most will excuse 10 over the speed limit. Well, maybe not. That's about the iffy area, is like that 10 miles an hour, 15 mile an hour. That's when it starts getting into treacherous territory. If you're blowing down the highway at 90 miles an hour and it's in the 65, that's a fat ticket coming your way if they can.
But there's no police officers in the area. So because there's no police officers in the area, you either have to get over or drive the illegal amount of speed.
You see what I'm saying? It's a little frustrating. I get you want to drive faster. Go sign up for some drag races or something. But don't, throw those expectations on the way I'm driving my vehicle. And like I said, I know this is a hot take. My own wife disagrees with me on this take. But I am not going to go get myself stuck behind 50 mile an hour slow McGee. I am in the right lane. I'm passing these guys. So don't ride my butt. Respect the rules of the road. Be a law-abiding citizen. I think that's my hottest take of them all. And I'll be honest, I speed quite a bit. But, like, for the most part, when I'm driving, I like to chill. I leave early enough to get to all my appointments in a timely manner. And just because you decided to leave 5-10 minutes after you were supposed to get to your job last second, so now you're going to be late, that's not my fault. It's not. You live here, boy, and they say they're going in the passing lane. Yeah, and I'm passing the cars. Either way, I'm not going to get too much into it. I'm already going to get a lot of hate for this hot take. But that's the way I really feel. Don't ride my butt. I can count on my hand in my lifetime where it was my choice to ride someone's butt. I've probably accidentally gotten too close to somebody, mainly because it is one of those things where I'm not going to ever jump in the passing lane at 45 miles an hour. But there are people who drive on back roads and the speed limit's 50 and they're driving 25. It's really hard not to get too close to them. It's like, dude, I am trying everything in my power to get from behind you right now, and you're making it hard. It's so very hard. Just push your big toe down on the gas pedal that much heavier, and you'll be able to drive. But yeah, I'm gonna get off it. I'm already expecting a maelstrom. A maelstrom. That's a deep sea reference for you. But there you go. Those were my hot takes to put the quarter in the machine, and now I can access via the claw all of the hot takes that I found on Reddit. Fair's fair, and man, were my takes zesty. I think my takes were hotter than every other take I am about to read. So let's get it. We got quite a few of them. All right. First Reddit hot take. Just because something is overrated doesn't mean that it is bad. I feel like this isn't a hot take until you really start thinking about it. Because there's something about people seeing something they don't like and suddenly having to judge it. I was somebody who was like, don't judge my music. And then when dubstep came out, I totally judged dubstep. And go and behold, there is dubstep that I will listen to nowadays. It's very easy as a human being to be critical. And I feel like, especially for those things that are overly loved. For example, Taylor Swift. I can look at that and be like, oh my goodness, her music's terrible. But just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's not good. And usually there's a reason why these people sell so much. Except for, no, we won't go there. But I can agree with that one. And the main reason why I read this one, because it is a very basic one. I don't think anybody's going to view that as the hottest take to ever exist. But I am going to bring it up later on in another one. So that's why I brought it up. So next hot take. Just because you're funny doesn't mean you can be a comedian. And I only bring this one up because that's obvious. There are stand-up comedians who aren't funny. And I guarantee you they were like me, where they had friends growing up. And I had a tendency to be able to make people laugh because I am quirky, because I'm over the top, because I have a way with words and saying stuff. And maybe there's something there. Maybe I have that charisma, that on-stage presence that's built in that you can't teach, but you can learn from experience and everything like that. So yeah, you can teach it. But maybe it is there. But the amount of times that I've told stories that I thought were funny and people just stare plainly at your face. Yeah, I know that's called bombing, so it's technically in the stand-up comedy vein, but it makes me think maybe I couldn't be a stand-up comedian. But every time I would tell at like 3 different jobs I've had, I would tell a joke. Somebody would laugh and they'd be like, man, you're funny. You should do stand-up. And I was like, it doesn't always translate. There's a lot more to the art of stand-up than just being funny. And so I needed to bring attention to that and tell all my friends, if we, down the road, I make you laugh, stop freaking telling me to go into stand-up just because I made you laugh once or twice. Yeah. And also, thank you. I know I'm that funny. Anyways. The next one, it's piggybacking off of the overrated thing. Bashing other people's music taste gets nothing done. And obviously that's not a hot take. Because the most of the time people are going to be like, yeah, man, let people listen to what they want to listen to, bro. But like the moment a song comes on they don't like, it's like, what the heck are you listening to? I play a little bit of my metalcore. You know that screaming's demonic, right? You better get over here and let me speak in tongues over you. That joke was strictly for you, Rocky. So hopefully you appreciated it. But no, I definitely agree with that, especially since I've got my foot put in my mouth. I already brought up the dubstep thing, and I cannot stress enough how much of a vendetta I had against dubstep. Anytime somebody turned it on back when I was in a youth group, hey, turn those car alarms off. No one wants to listen to that crap. And now here at my work where I'm listening to music all day, I'll be bopping some of that dubstep. For the longest time, I swore I don't really like country all that much. And most of the people I listen to, the people from Missouri that I grew up with, would not agree that this is quote unquote real country. But I'll raid country music a couple times. There's actually this new artist called Rashad that I listen to, and he kind of mixes country with rap a little bit. He has a song called Copperheads. Really cute. But yeah, no, you shouldn't bash it because 1, you might put your foot in your mouth. 2, I don't know what the heck just happened to my voice. 2, but yeah, next, I can't recover from that. Points over, everybody. Next hot take. The majority of people that complain about politics on the internet don't actually know the first thing about real politics. I'm not going to add anything else to that. I'll just say that's true for Republicans, that's true for Democrats, and that's true for the people who stay at home and don't vote. A lot of them actually don't really know what's going on. They just pick a team and root for them. That's really what there is to it. I agree with that. Not really a hot take because most people find politics in the modern age worthless, and realistically, I just said I'm not going to add anything, so now I'm adding a ton. Realistically, the people who don't vote, would probably outnumber both Republicans and Democrats. I don't know if that's possible or not. See, I don't even know what I'm talking about. That makes this take true. This one actually is a hot take. Strawberry is the worst Starburst flavor, like the base Starburst, like orange, strawberry, cherry, and lemon. And the top comment underneath it was like, you don't call the flavors by their colors? And she was like, sorry, pink is the worst base Starburst flavor. And I have to disagree with that. I have the basic opinion of, I'm pretty sure pink and cherry. Now I'm mixing it up. Pink and cherry are the top two flavors, followed by orange, followed by lemon is how I have it. But that is a hot take because the majority of people will say cherry or, pink. The next one is the one that when I went on Reddit, I was looking for this one because there's always one. There's always one. And it is a hot take because you guys are like endangered species. You got to be on the lookout for them so you can save them. And we're going to save you here today by convincing you that you're wrong. Maybe. Probably not. You might be a vegan. Bacon is extremely overrated. I've also seen bacon is disgusting. Bacon shouldn't go on everything. Blah, 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 blah. Dude, if I could describe bacon as one thing, it is dog treats for humans. The way dogs love dog treats is the way humans love bacon. It does complement most foods that it goes on. And I can understand if you don't want it on everything. But to say that it's disgusting and overrated, it's literally one of the best breakfast foods out there. Besides, about 90% of the time you say, let's put bacon on it, it works. And that's why it's properly rated, because bacon is just one of those flavors that goes with most things. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's overrated. And that's another hot take right there. You not liking something doesn't mean not good. I don't understand the hype. Well, clearly it's not for you. You vegan? You freaking vegan? We'll come back for you guys. This next one isn't that much of a hot take on the surface. This is like the racism example I gave earlier. But a lot of people don't apply it. A lot of people take it as though if you're not on my team, then you're a bad guy, so I could treat you however I want. And so here's the take. I don't care if they are LGBTQ, Christian, black, Muslim, any background. If you're a butthole, you're a butthole. And that's true. Like, people don't even realize they're treating someone else like crap. It's ironic that in Christianity, because I see a lot of you Christians on Facebook too, you're not representing him well. Hitting my chest. Represent. Get crunk. And people who claim that love is love. And everybody should be able to have the background they want. You're doing a terrible job of represent what you believe too. It's funny because we all throw the word love around and then proceed to absolutely hate one another. And that's the sign of a jerk. And you'll call the other side out for being a jerk. But you won't realize they're responding to, you being a jerk, which we'll get more on that later. But I digress. Let's be nicer to each other. If we're all following our causes, we should be a little bit nicer to each other. That doesn't mean if you believe something is true, you don't have to support the truth. The Bible does tell you to know what you believe and express it, but that doesn't mean putting other people down. Especially for the thing that I know, which is Christianity. You should be loving your neighbor. And there's a whole book of Proverbs that tells you how to treat other people. Some of you aren't doing that and you need to go read it. No, even though I was pretty much telling you guys to pray, I need to be the one to pray because this next one's going to hit me in the heart. Fat people are lazy. You have no excuses. You have lived a life full of invalid excuses every day. Truth is, you've never even tried to lose weight or changed your eating habits. I'm doing it now. It's like, but I understand why he would think that's a hot take though, because that is the truth. Like a lot of people out there who are, I'm perfect the way I am. Of course, they're not going to try and change if they think they're perfect the way they are. I think most of the people who use that as their battle cry are insecure in their own ways, but That could be said for a lot of issues, not just being fat, but a lot of issues is people refusing to take accountability is a big problem in the world we live in today. And if you really, really look at it and see the accountability, take extreme ownership. I talk about Jocko Willink all the time. I would encourage you guys to go read his book, Extreme Ownership. It shows you how to take ownership of your situation. And I think a lot of us would be surprised, especially me, because I'm still going through it. I'm still trying to figure things out. There are commitments that I break on a daily basis that I feel like if I would stay on them, I'd be a better person for it. And the reality is you got to take ownership of that. And you got to understand that the actions you take or don't take are going to affect your future. I'm not an expert on that, so that's all I'll say. But I don't know. I felt like it was worth touching on. This next one's not a hot take because I feel like everybody's felt this at some point. I'll read it, then I'll give my thoughts on it. It should be mandatory to repeat your driving test and pass a medical every 5 years if you want to keep your license. Like, with some of the people that cut you off in traffic and with people thinking about my driving skills now after I've had that hot take at the beginning of the podcast, everyone's going to be like, these idiots should take a test every year, which some of you all would fail too. Like if we're talking about efficient driving, you're good at speed. You're fast. You super fast. Look how fast you're going. That's all I'll say about that. But then I think about, man, this would be really annoying because I already find it extremely annoying to renew my my license plates every couple of years and stuff like that and renew my insurance. They should just take a one-time payment. What the heck? But I saw this one a lot on Reddit and I feel like it's a hot take, not just for in general, but for the people who are actually saying it, because if this stuff was actually put in place, these would be the same people complaining about having to go and do this. Be like, I'm an able-bodied person who doesn't have any, marks against my license, so why do I have to go do it? So it's stupid to suggest something like this because it would just create more stuff that we have to go wait at the DMV for, and nobody wants that. So yeah, enjoy your hot take because you're wrong. There, I said it. This next one's not a hot take. It's more of an observation, but I liked it. So I'm going to share it. It says the phrase, it's all downhill from here means the opposite of what it should mean. Going downhill is very much easier, is more easy than going uphill. Sounds like a good times ahead. Well, I don't feel like that's what it means, but I do agree what they're saying. Going downhill definitely means it's going to be easier. And depending on where you're going, that is a godsend. I think what going downhill from here actually represents is like, hey, you're on this tall point up here, and now you're just going down. It kind of insinuates that down is the bottom thing, like going to the bottom of the barrel. But I definitely see what they're meaning by it, so it makes you think a little bit. And if it makes me think, I'll share it. I'm cute like that. Next hot take. People who are not kids are weird for watching Bluey. And I don't know. This is definitely another one of those, hey, let people watch what they want, even if they're weird and they want to watch kids shows, as long as they're not using it like, hey, Billy, come over to my house. I like Bluey too. That might be a little bit weird, obviously, for obvious reasons. But I'm an adult. And I watch Bluey with my kids, and I enjoy it. But there are groups out there dedicated to Bluey fans, and a lot of the people who participate in those, I had to go to these for the episode. If you haven't watched it yet, I have an episode where I talk about Bluey fan theories. And if you haven't watched it yet, I do go to a lot of those groups to kind of research a little bit and get some of these theories. And a lot of people in the group are single, like 40-year-old people with no kids. And for whatever reason, who am I to judge that? Sure. But that is a little bit weird. So I can see where they're coming from. But on that same note, I have kids and I'm not going to stop watching because it makes them behave for now. Oh my goodness. Stop making me think about the future. Go to the next one. Oh yeah. These edgelords who literally are like the bacon people. They're like, ugh. Well, I have to say it for the sake of it. Pizza is overrated. I don't feel like people know what the word overrated means. Like, something that is highly loved isn't overrated. This is another one of those situations where it's like, I don't like it, so it must be overrated. Well, it's clearly not for you, but it is one of the most popular snacks out in the world today. It's got a lot of substance. There are a lot of different varieties. There are frozen pizzas, order for delivery pizzas. You can even go and buy a pizza to make yourself, which is just another frozen pizza. Papa Murphy's. They make the dough and everything, and they're like, come pick it up and go cook it. So, yeah, pizza's not overrated. It's good for a reason. And just, I'm sorry you don't get to experience the delightfulness it takes to bite into a pizza and enjoy it. But with the vast amount of options out there, with how typically good most of them are, it may not be the best food of all time, but it's definitely not overrated. I hate the word overrated because everybody just likes to immediately go to it. Well, what's your problem with chicken? It's overrated! Dude, it's one of the main poultries that we eat. It's one of the main health foods. There's a lot of benefits to it. You can have it fried. You can bake it. Now I'm just going off a tangent. But you know what I mean. Just because something's popular doesn't mean it's overrated. Stop it. Now, here's a flip of the one that I read earlier where it's like every couple of years people should have to retake their driving test, and I would totally be down for that. I would, until it actually happened, then I wouldn't. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of people for their hot takes. I just feel like sometimes people don't think about things all the way through. This next one, however, I can kind of get on board with because a lot of the accidents that almost happen, they don't quite happen, so that's kind of why I'm not fully on board with it. And it's not really a hot take because I feel like everybody's like, old people need to never drive. And there's a couple of reasons why I can go against this as well. But essentially, it's senior citizens should be required to take a driving test every 2 years after the age of 75. And my immediate oh, don't do that response is it takes a lot of people to get, well, obviously, it takes most people, there we go, to get to age 60, 65 to retire. And so now at age 75, they get to enjoy the sports car that they spent their entire life trying to get. Now all of a sudden it's being taken away. But yeah, if they're losing their self, if they're losing their eyesight, the faster they go in their car, the more likely it is to cause an accident. So I'm kind of all over the place on this one, but I'm more in favor for this than having everybody, even though I feel like there's just idiot drivers out there that are more the problem than old people. But the amount of clueless, I'm lost looks that I've seen on old people worries the living daylights out of me. I'm like, I need to follow that woman home and make sure she doesn't crash. But then that sounds creepy, and that's the hottest take of them all. Anyway, next hot take is streamers, which is like people streaming video games on Twitch or YouTube, unless they are providing educational service, should not be able to profit from donations or subscriptions. All of that money should go to charity. And I disagree. To me, that's not really too much different than actors getting paid a big boatload of money, because not everybody's cup of tea is movies. Not everybody's cup of tea is watching TV shows. Me, I like to watch YouTube quite a bit. Like while I'm editing this podcast, I'll probably go through 2 hours worth of YouTube videos on the side while I'm editing this. And so on that same note, if somebody spends hours watching this particular YouTuber and wants to subscribe so they get even more videos, or they donate to them because they're like, oh man, you're my entertainment every single night and I want you to be able to continue producing top quality content, then why shouldn't you be able to make a living off it? To me, that's the coolest thing ever. You literally, if you're willing to put in the work nowadays, because there's so many channels out there, can make a living playing video games or just talking to people on the internet, as creepy as that can be. It doesn't always go the right way. There's a lot of controversial, and there's even YouTube drama channels that are like, this streamer said something he shouldn't have. Ugh. But who are you to say what shouldn't be rewarded as entertainment? This person probably doesn't have a problem with Robert Downey Jr. making $200 million for Marvel movies. So why would you have a problem with this YouTuber making as much money as he does? I don't know. That's my opinion. Speaking of entertainment, Even I, as a DC fanboy, would have a hard time defending this hot take. The Justice League movie was better than Avengers Endgame. And seeing as though this was posted 2 months ago, I would hope they mean the Snyder Cut of Justice League, because the original Justice League wasn't all that great. But Avengers Endgame was the big ensemble that put a cap on the greatest parts of Marvel, and then it kind of fell off after that. I don't think that's a hot take to say right there, but to say that that cap isn't as entertaining as the Snyder Cut Justice League, a movie that even I would argue was rushed a little too much. And even though the Snyder Cut added some much needed context, makes it an overall better movie, I don't think it should have come out when it did, which doesn't necessarily make it bad. But it's just, I don't know. Endgame is on a completely different level, even if the Snyder Cut is legendary, because the internet clamored for the Snyder Cut for the longest time, and they finally released it, and it was good. And it was good. That is definitely a hot take, I will say. So I disagree with it, but hey, enjoy what you enjoy. Next hot take. We need to bring back duels. And I agree. It's not, and I know their initial arguments are going to come up. That's murder. You shouldn't be allowed to murder. Alex, you just said you were a Christian. Thou shalt not murder. What does that mean to you? And in the world we live in today, if two people come to meet each other and they're like, we don't like each other, we're never going to like each other, we need to resolve our problems, this is how we do it. They both shake hands in the middle and they both agree that one of them's going to die. Why shouldn't we be allowed to do that? But then, yeah, no, a lot of complicated. I said that, then immediately every thought process of like, well, someone could say they were in a duel. Like, how do you really bind it? Should we sign a contract? And it gets really murky. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting premise, and it made me laugh out loud at work. I didn't have to explain it to anyone. Usually whenever I laugh out loud at work, I have to explain it to someone. But that particular time, just had a good old laugh with myself. It's a beautiful thing. This next one I just put in here for obvious reasons, and I'll just leave it here. I'm not going to say anything else. Just because you're in the passing lane doesn't mean you're allowed to hit triple-digit numbers. Laws vary by state, but reckless driving is usually 20-plus miles over the speed limit, regardless of what lane you're driving in. Lord, touch these words. The next one is a gaming-related one, and it's the people who hate on Fortnite is more toxic than Fortnite. Why are you hating on people for a game that you're playing that's gamist? Well, most of the people probably aren't playing it, but I do agree that the hate for Fortnite was very forced, and it is a hot take because the majority of people hate on Fortnite because that's the popular thing to do. It's like, it was a very popular game. It was loved by everyone until kids took it over. Kids were doing the Fortnite dances. Skins all of a sudden were being sold left and right. And so the mixture of DLC, which gamers either love or hate, and the mixture of it being a kids thing now, wink, wink, really didn't sit well, I guess is the best way to say it, with the gaming community. So now everybody's like, oh, you play Fortnite? That's a baby's game. Oh, did you foot nut? Oh, you play Fortnite? You're not even a real gamer. I don't know. It's just, to me, it always seemed so forced. I understand if it's not your cup of tea, but it's popular for a reason. Not just because kids like it, but like, it was one of the most played games in the world for years for a reason. Still is today. So, chill. The next one is fruits and chocolate don't go together. To me, it smells and tastes like stomach acid. Well, I don't know about the stomach acid thing, but other than like, okay, this is going to go against something I said. Oh, he lied on his hot take. I do like chocolate-covered strawberries. To me, that's ironically the only way I can eat strawberries. If it's a strawberry by itself, no, but the chocolate adds just enough sweetness to like balance the strawberry out for me, in my opinion. But I agree that if it's like those chocolates that you get in the Valentine's Day boxes that are all filled with cherries and stuff like that, it's disgusting. The only one I can really eat is coconut cream, which I don't know if you would count that in the same vein as these other ones, or like that orange cream chocolate. The rest are kind of nasty. Raspberry, cherries, obviously. I don't know. Chocolate and fruit should stay away from each other. Even if at the sacrifice of chocolate dipped strawberries and orange, I'd be fine with that if they all just disappeared. Yeah, that's my hot take. Because apparently it's really popular. I'm going to read these next ones and comment as necessary because it's just a giant, like, huge comment with a bunch of hot takes. Literally anyone who claims to be Native American is some extent of Cherokee. Nobody cares. It's not impressive. You're the vanilla ice cream of natives. If you don't actively attend sweat circles, burn sage, go to powwows, or actively wear the clothing, it's irrelevant. I don't even know if that's a hot take or not. It made me laugh because of how passionate he was about it. Pineapple goes hard on pizza. Y'all don't like it just because the internet tells you not to. Anchovy should be the focus of our hate. Contributes nothing but salt and is overpowering. Even more than olives. Olives are terrible. Eat your dang crust. You're a grown adult. Enjoy the breadsticks that you've made with your pizza. True. I agree. You should eat your crust. Child. Anytime someone calls attention to the breaking of gender roles, it ultimately undermines the concept of gender equality by implying that this is an exception and not the status quo. You're what's wrong with society should you do that. I'm just going to read those. I'm not going to add anything to them, mainly because I feel like I'm underqualified to comment on that last one and the first one. But pineapple does go on pizza, and eat your crust. If you don't eat your crust, you don't deserve another slice. That's like people who put up their Christmas tree before Thanksgiving even happens. Like, you're just trying to skip right over Thanksgiving. You shouldn't need a plate at Thanksgiving. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. This next hot take's another one that just made me laugh out loud. Out wowed. I can't believe I just said that. I think it's because I hear my daughter screaming in the distance and she can't pronounce her L's or R's all that well. And so she just said a word and I just on instinct, I'll talk back to her. Either way, soul food is a blanket name for food that tastes like poop, but people swear it's delicious in a group setting to prevent ostracism. Chitlins, collard greens, mustard greens, cornbread's delicious, black-eyed peas, and deep-fried okra. Deep-fried okra's good. But I do agree that there are names out there that people will often throw out there to disguise the fact that they're consuming something disgusting. Alcohol, for example. It's an acquired taste. You're drinking pee. You're drinking pee. This one I'm reading because I disagree with it. Everything except the Whopper sucks at Burger King. The Whopper is the only thing keeping Burger King in business. I could disprove that with 2 words. Bacon King. The Bacon King is the delicious thing, and me and my wife love it. Yeah. You got served. We love it. Take that. All right. Next hot take, which is... It is never morally correct to bully someone into tipping for whatever reason. Tipping is not mandatory. Especially whenever the waitress or waiter just acts like they don't care. I feel like tipping to a degree is a social norm here in the United States, and you should tip no matter what, because if you can't tip, you shouldn't go out to eat. But if someone just gives you absolute horrendous service, a tip is not required. It really isn't. And if it is, usually they'll slap gratuity on your bill. Like, I come from a family where we will leave a tip, but there have been a couple times where I've chosen not to leave a tip because, 1, the waiter or waitress just treats you like utter poo. 2, they don't even acknowledge your existence half the time. 3, another waiter or a waitress comes to your table and takes care of you because they don't return to your table ever. And it's just like, no. Tips are meant to be earned because realistically, like, everywhere nowadays wants a tip. I go in there and you've cooked my food. Yes, thank you. But then you spin that iPad around at me and there's that tip button staring me in the face, even though I came to pick it up. If you had sent a delivery driver, he'd be getting a tip, but like the McDonald's people don't get tips. And they do a better job than half of these places that ask for the tips. I don't know. I'm not going to go on that tangent, but I kind of agree with this. And I think it's more of a divisive take than a straight up hot take, which I guess could technically be a hot take. This one made me laugh. I'm not going to elaborate on it. How you clean your dishes reflects how you wipe your butt. That's word poetry right there. I've never heard something so beautiful before. I don't know if that's necessarily true, though. Now, this next hot take did get to me a little bit. Like, I'm not going to sit there and get angry about it and think about it all day, but it was just kind of a, I'll just read it. Political leaders shouldn't be allowed to bring up any gods or religion when discussing government matters. Separation of church and state needs to be taken more seriously. That part, I can understand where they're coming from. I can. I don't agree with it, but I can understand where they're coming from. It's the last line that I'm like, okay. I don't want people's imaginary friends being brought up when talking about healthcare or education. Like, you don't have to throw that in there. Why would you? I don't know. I don't understand where it's coming from, because the same person commented on a lot of different posts on Reddit talking about how they want people to pronounce their pronouns correctly and everything. Yet you're going to start a conversation about someone else's beliefs by immediately insulting them. Like, to me, that's not the hottest take ever, because I see all the time people posting about like separation of church, separation of state, especially in the world we live in today. It's a very common argument, not a hot take. What makes it a hot take is that you actively insult anyone who falls under the certain category. And that's like the lamest hot take ever, is when you insult someone to try and make your point. Like, I don't really know how to explain why this is such a bad way to give your hot take, but I guess the best way to do it in my current mindset would be, it's like if you're trying to explain to a group of people that they're on the wrong side of the road, and so in order to try and move them, you decide to start a dialogue. And instead of saying, hey, you guys are on the wrong side of the road, you might want to come over here, you instead say, you're on the wrong side of the road, bunch of idiots. That's not going to go over well. Like, it's going to start an unnecessary fight. Like, rather than have a discussion about like why it should be separated, now all of a sudden you're putting an entire group of people on the offense already, or on the defense. And that's just unnecessary. A lot of people do that. And that's, I don't know. I'm going to stop it there, because that's not what this podcast is about. It's not about a religious debate. But if you would like to hear me talk about religion, I'm going to plug my other podcast, which is called Zan's Quest for Wisdom. I haven't uploaded on there in a while, but I am planning on starting it back up. So find it on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and hit that subscribe button. Maybe I'll bring this conversation up over there. But we're going to move forward and go to the next hot take. As I go into this next take, you might notice a change in my volume of my voice and a lack of passion at times, and I wouldn't say that's the case necessarily. I'm just talking quieter because my kids are going to bed for the evening, and I don't want to wake them up, so my energy level might be down. I might not be as over the top as I was, for the majority of this podcast, but I still think we can enjoy these hot takes regardless. So, without further ado, the very next one is underage children should be legally restricted from social media. And I don't necessarily agree with that, mainly because there are, I guess it's the same as child actors and stuff like that, but there are kids who are doing toy reviews and stuff on YouTube and actually making a pretty big name for themselves and setting up their family well. And I don't know if that necessarily, reeks into, oh, the parents are taking advantage of him and they're actually making money off his name and everything like that. It's not up to me to go through all the details on that, but YouTube's technically a social media platform. I agree for like Instagram and Facebook and stuff with how much predators and nastiness is out there. it's probably best to protect the kids from now until they get responsibility to get on there, because based on some of the idiotic stuff that people post on there, it is a responsibility to monitor what you put out there or what you consume and stuff like that. But unfortunately, we've already seen a similar thing in the gaming world, where we have the rating system, M for mature, and with parents buying their kids, M-rated games, or someone who doesn't know any better buying them M-rated games, or people who sell the games not even caring. It's something that can be bypassed. So it really doesn't matter if they restrict it, because there's no real good way to monitor it, and there will be kids who fall through the cracks. Is that a reason not to make some sort of rule? No. But I don't know. It would be one of those things where, is it really worth it in the long run? I don't think so. The next opinion or hot take is Game of Thrones sucked. And somebody clarified in the comments, because, this is the big issue with it. What didn't you like about it? Was it the ending? And the guy clarified and said, no, I hated the entire series. And I will start by saying that if most of my friends who, as I've established, are under the Christian guys, like we are all within the Christian community, this would not be a show I recommend to them, mainly because it's just crude in nature. They use a lot of filthy language. Outside the normal filthy language, it's a lot more creative. I'm not going to go into details as to why of that. But it is very filthy. There's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of raunchy topics that, in a lot of people's arguments, wouldn't really enhance the plot all that much. But to me, it is a very interesting, well thought out show with lots of good characterization, character arcs, and frankly, awesome battles. And I won't go into it too much. It was a critically acclaimed show, and it is in that category of, this guy's probably like, I didn't like it, so the show itself isn't good. And the show got a lot of acclaim, and I think there's a reason why it got a lot of acclaim, because it is a good show. So, no, it didn't necessarily sucked. I know a lot of people out there were disappointed with the ending. I wasn't the biggest fan of the ending myself, but I don't think that necessarily ruins the entirety of the show, because there's a lot of plots, a lot of characters, and a lot of big action scenes that you can pull from and be satisfied with it. So I don't necessarily think it sucked. I think that's just, you didn't like it, and that's okay. Maybe that's what you were going for, but it seemed like that's your hot take, is I didn't like it. Well, good job. This next one is convenient because it has the hot take, and then it kind of has what my response was going to be in the top comment below it. It's just a very bad take, in my opinion. It's not even hot. It's just, here. Voting should be weighted by age. The younger you are, the more your vote counts, since you have to live with the consequences longer. And I see the way they're going with it, but no. Here. Yeah. Sorry, but an 18-year-old with hardly any life experience, perspective on policy, idea of the correlation between wages and inflation, how the economy impacts families versus single people, etc., shouldn't have more weight to their vote than any other person. So yeah, no, our voting system's fine the way it is. I know a lot of people don't like the electoral college system, and they're trying to find any edge they can to beat that out. But yeah, no, that's a silly thing to say. The younger you are, so a fresh 18-year-old gets more weight than somebody who's kind of been through multiple presidents and kind of see where we're going. And I know everybody, here's the perspective. Everybody sees the other members of other parties and thinks they don't know what they're talking about. We're all just stupid. None of us know politics. This goes back to that hot take from earlier where it's like, hey, most of the people giving political advice don't actually know about politics. And I see people trying to educate each other in the comment section. And I'm like, I'm the dumbest guy in this room. And even I know that's stupid. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to go into it too much. Like I said, this is not a political podcast, but this was just an asinine statement. And I have no problem saying that. Let that be my hot take, since all of the younger generation knows better than me. May you be affected by my words. I can't be too loud. The kids, they're gonna wake up. Anyway, enough trolling. Next comment, which you'll see a theme with some of these. Religious people should be banned from participating in civic affairs and restricted from using technology, medical care, etc. If you're anti-science, which you're already going in the wrong direction, then you have no business enjoying the fruits of scientific achievement, and you should not have a voice in determining public policy. See, this is where somebody takes one issue, mainly creationism versus, the Big Bang Theory or whatever theory, keyword theory that you believe, and then applies it to the rest of things, not realizing that Christians actually go into the scientific field to prove many things. There's a lot of scientific ventures out there right now in which people are trying to prove that events of the Bible were real. Science isn't like banned from Christianity or vice versa. Like, in a lot of ways, they do go hand in hand. There's a book on my shelf right now that's like the science behind Christianity. So yeah, this isn't a hot take. It's just inherently wrong, a misguided, misinformed, take in general, because there are elements of science that we refute. I know that scientists definitely don't believe in the miracles and stuff that happened in the Bibles, and the Bible suggests that there's things that we don't necessarily understand, but they are not opposed to each other, if that makes sense. And on that side note, there was a lot of comments below this comment making fun of Christianity and talking about how absurd the belief system was, specifically in the creationism, because somebody else did point out, it's like, well, there are Christian scientists. It's not necessarily refuting each other, but their belief in how the world came about is absolutely preposterous. But the reality is none of us actually know. That's why even science, in their explanation of how the universe and how the world came about are theories. And the Big Bang Theory in itself, the main one that everybody backs as their main horse in the race, if you actually read through it and see some of the things that are suggested, that takes as much faith to believe in that as it takes for me to believe that a God existed and then created everything that you see before you. So, I don't know. There's a lot of misconceptions about Christianity, and I think if you actually sit down and talk with some Christians, you'll see that, hey, there's some intelligence in there after all. And a lot of those people who are intelligent end up becoming scientists. We just brought it around full circle, or a donut, if you will, because I'm going to bring up this next hot topic before I go on Reddit and continue. I actually did post in my Facebook group of Zandom Thoughts, which there's a link in the show notes and description if you want to follow us there, or on your Facebook, you can merely type in Zandom Thoughts and it should bring you up. The profile photo is the same as the podcast cover, so hopefully that makes it pretty easy. But longtime listener of all of my podcasts, back when we were the Zandman podcast, Zandom Thoughts, Rocky, he has supported us every step of the way. And his hot take is the apple fritter is the ultimate donut. And you know what? You might be right for that. I don't really have a full-on opinion of that. I'm not the most passionate when it comes to donut. There was the bacon, sushi, tacos, and donut. And donuts almost got eliminated immediately by me. So I'm not the most passionate when it comes to donuts. But I can see where you're coming from on that. I don't think... Maybe if people are a little bit more passionate, the Wisconsinites up here and their Canadian selves are a little bit more prone to donuts. So that might ruffle a couple of feathers there. But me, I have no problem with your comment. I have no problem with your statement. And then my wife also posted in the group and she said, if there's the big debate over whether soda is called soda or pop. And I think and there was a graph one time on Facebook, and I know you can't trust everything you see on social media or online or stuff, but I think it was like in 1940, this was the graph, and like 25% of America said pop, 25% of America said Coke, which we all need to join together and attack the South, because apparently they're like, can I have a Sprite Coke? And that's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. Shots fired. That might be the hottest take of all. Attacking people. Well, Coke's our main commodity. We'll get a different commodity and call it Sprite, not Coke Sprite. I don't even know if that's how you do it, but I know they call soda in general Coke, and you're wrong for that. You're really wrong for that. I think they do that in the Chicago too. But it had the graph, and it split up like most of America. Different sections of America had different words for it. And it was like, now, USA in the modern era. And it had like 10% has this, 5% has this, and then the rest of America says soda. And all I can say to that is good. The answer to that question is soda, but my wife says pop. And now my daughter's starting to say pop. And I swear, every time she does, I die a little inside. But we'll progress. There's hope for America. But if you want to contribute to these conversations moving forward, those were the only two we got. I know hot takes are a little bit, I don't know if I should share mine because I don't want to get attacked. And I am totally sitting here judging people's on the podcast, so I understand if you don't want that. But if you do want to participate in future conversations, please follow me on any of the social medias and be waiting to join in the conversation. But we're going to jump back over to the Reddit hot takes and finish this off in a big way, in which the first one isn't the hottest of takes because everybody seems to suggest this, and it makes me think of a Jim Gaffigan bit. It says, I hate McDonald's. And yeah, apparently it's very popular to say you hate McDonald's. Like, even growing up in church, I was always like, oh, can we go get burgers and fries? And like all the healthy, fit people were like, I, for one, just need to throw my 2 cents in here. I know you guys are going to go eat McDonald's, but I hate McDonald's. And it's like, well, good for you. I know McDonald's has smiles and happiness all over it. No wonder you're so bitter all the... No, I'm just kidding. But the reason why it makes me think of a Jim Gaffigan stand-up is he was like, McDonald's sells 1 billion burgers a day, yet no one ever goes to McDonald's. I'm not a calculus teacher, but I think everyone's lying. You should... I'll put it in the description maybe. I don't know if I remember to do so. I would encourage you guys to go on YouTube and type in Jim Gaffigan McDonald's because he has a bit from one of his stand-up specials where he goes in depth and talks about McDonald's, and it's super relatable, hilarious. And like I said, I don't think this is the hottest it takes, mainly because everyone claims to not like McDonald's, but it's like the Superman of the fast food industry. It's the main guy. And I think there's a reason for that. So that's great that you hate McDonald's. Not a hot take. This next one says, pancakes, waffles, and French toast aren't meant to be a regular meal. They're a dessert. And somebody commented, it's the top comment underneath, and it says, French toast is literally called pan perdue, which is lost bread in the language it's translated from, and was created as a way to make a meal out of the last bits of bread before it went bad. So, yes, it is meant to be a meal, but we aren't French peasants. I disagree with that. I think these are all perfectly good breakfast meals, no different from breakfast cereals or anything like that. You're going to get pretty much the same amount of sugar, maybe a little bit more from these because of the syrup. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the best order to put these 3 in: pancakes, waffles, and French toast. It is French toast, waffles, pancakes. There is no other acceptable order. Maybe that's a hot take. I think most people agree with me. The ironic part is I eat waffles the least out of all 3 of these, and I would still happily put them in second place. Pancakes aren't terrible, but out of these 3, I definitely prefer them the least. So yeah, that's where the hot take it comes from. Next one is soda's overrated. Oh, here we got another McDonald's hater over here. Carbonation is annoying. Interesting. It's not even a top 10 beverage. moronic. This person's clearly never had a sore throat and drank a Pepsi or a Dr. Pepper. It's absolutely exhilarating. Carbonation's not annoying. I love the burn as it goes down. How is it annoying? Is it because you burp too much? I don't know. Soda being overrated definitely is probably a hot take because you're trying to actually eat healthy and not everybody likes to eat healthy. I don't know. Whatever. I just needed to say, hey, you're wrong. This next hot take says the brine in olive jars is nice to drink when you finished the olives. First off, we need to send the police officers to this man's house because you are an absolute juvenile. No, not juvenile. That's not the word. It's over. It's all over. That was a terrible way to end it because that was the last one on this segment. So those are all the hot takes. And if you have any more that you would like to share them in the comments. If you would like to yell at me because of all the terrible hot takes I've had or the responses to the hot takes that you agreed with, feel free to comment them. I mean, I probably won't respond to some of them if you're snarky and you're like, your imaginary friend. I'm not salty about it. I'm just a little bit offended, which is not a good argument to try and steer, people away from your side. But that's another hot take for another different time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let's commence the podcast, shall we? And since I don't have any movies for the Myrar, which yes, I know. How many times do we have to hear the excuses, old man? Well, me and my wife have been watching The Walking Dead, and so all of my spare movie TV viewing time has gone to that. The other half has gone to YouTube and, playing video games, because that's my main form of entertainment. But I promise you, this is my promise to you, I will have a Myrar by next episode. So you have that to look forward to. I'm not going to tell you which movie. You're just going to have to show up. Ooh, top notch. Get you reeled in for the next episode tactics going on here. But because we don't have a Myrar this week, that means we are just going to end the podcast with a positive end, which means if you don't know what that is, I will be reading an excerpt from a book, playing an audio file that gave me encouragement, and just hopefully ending the ending the podcast on a positive note and sending you off on your day or your morning, whatever time of day it is, ending it and sending you in a my goodness, apparently I just need to go to sleep. But the whole point is to end the podcast on a positive note and send you with a thought-provoking thought of some kind or some sort of motivation. Who knows what it could be? Words have effects on all of us in different ways. And I'm going to continue the trend of reading from a book that you've all come to know very well. The Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual. But instead of me reading it today, I am going to allow Jocko to talk on a clip from one of his podcasts about the topic in which I was going to cover here today. So without further ado, I hope this isn't copyright or anything. And if anything, go check out his podcast. It's literally just called Jocko Podcast. But without further ado, here's the word from the man himself.
One of my direct subordinates, one of my guys that worked for me, he would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on, and he'd say, "Boss, we got this and that and the other thing." And I'd look at him and I'd say, "Good." And finally one day he was telling me about some issue that he was having, some problem, and he said, "I already know what you're going to say." And I said, "Well, what am I going to say?" He said, "You're going to say good." He said, "That's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say, good." And I said, "Well, yeah. When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get funded. Didn't get the job you wanted. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Got tapped out? Good. Got beat? Good. You learned. Unexpected problems? Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. That's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out. Don't get startled. Don't get frustrated. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
For the record, I didn't edit that music in there. That was already a part of the video that they had the clip on. And I couldn't find what episode it was that he had that little conversation, but I really do enjoy the message that it upholds. I have heard him say it in a couple of other episodes. He doesn't go into as detail about what the good mantra is, but he does it to, like, people call in with problems and everything, and he'll be like, adopt the good mantra. Oh man, I lost my job. Good. Opportunity to get a better one. Just stuff like that. It's all to point your mind and train your mind to go in a positive direction and look for solutions in the situation. And I've been trying to apply that more, because even with all the negativity around me, with all the hecticness of life, with everything that's going on, it's not going to help to just sit there and dwell on the problems. It's going to be beneficial to look for solutions. And that's the mantra I'm trying to adopt, not necessarily to steal from Jocko or anything. And I really hope that, you know, I don't get copyrighted, but if I do, good. It gives me a chance to come up with my own stuff, like, not steal from everybody else. But I'm going to leave a link to that video in the comments or show notes or description or whatever it's called, along with the Jim Gaffigan link. Yes, I remembered. And yeah, hopefully this speaks to you the way it spoke to me. I'm not going to go into as much detail. He's a lot better at it. Like I said, I cannot recommend his podcast enough, because I'm the biggest nerd in the world. They're usually talking about like war tactics and stuff like that, and he'll get done like saying something. And the thing about it is, if anybody from my work is listening to me, just try and sneak by my work area. I usually look if I see someone out of my peripherals, so I might catch you. But if I don't, and you manage to sneak by, I talk to my podcasts. Like, there'll be a sports commentator that has like a yeah, and whenever he'll like complain about something, I'll go yeah for the longest time, out loud, mind you. But like, there'll be times where I'm listening to Jocko's podcast and he says something that's just like, so it resonates with me, and I'll just go, heck yeah, like, out loud, because I'm the biggest nerd out there. But I digress. Hopefully his words impacted you, and hopefully it encourages you to focus on the solutions to your problems and not the problems all the time, because we waste so much time just letting those problems weigh on us. And there is time for grieving. There is time for all sorts of stuff like that. It's normal. But after some point, you got to start working on that solution. You got to start pushing forward and understand that, hey, maybe this isn't a problem. Maybe this is an opportunity to grow. And that's how I'm going to try and listen to it. But I digress. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you guys will join me for another episode and hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, please rate this podcast, comment on it, do whatever you can. Interact with it. No matter how small it is for you, it does wonders for the podcast and helps us in the algorithm. It really does. Podcasts that are interacted with more get the little nod when it comes to showing up on people's feeds. And I want to show up on people's feeds really bad. But if not, good. It's an opportunity for me to find better topics. I'm doing it too much. But thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast, and I leave you with this short clip. Bye, guys.
I reference McDonald's a lot because I go to McDonald's. I love the silence that follows that statement. It's fun telling people you go to McDonald's. They always give you that look like, oh, I didn't know I was better than you. No one admits to going to McDonald's. They sell 6 billion hamburgers a day. There's only 300 million people in this country. It's like, I'm not a calculus teacher, but I think everyone's lying.